Fear. Probably, 20 years ago, I heard the acronym for fear, and it was false expectations appearing real. And more recently, I heard a different acronym, face everything and rise. Now, when I look at social media sometimes, and I look at Republican rhetoric and Trump and some of the interviews and rhetoric surrounding his campaign and people who support him, I think about that first acronym, false expectations appearing real. Now, there are some things that have happened. Our America has changed. It's become more diverse. Women are moving into positions of power at a greater speed. We have all kinds of diversity, not just racial, but diversity of thought and people questioning the way things used to be and even trying to move against some conservative and traditional ways of thinking. And if your identity and your sense of security is wrapped up in what you knew, what the past was like, what you expected things to be as they developed and as your life developed, then you might feel fear. And fear is something that we all feel. So there's not anything wrong with feeling fear. It's just another emotion. But to me, healthy individuals let their emotions come to them. They experience them. They sit with them. They figure out what that emotion is telling them. And they deal with the cause of that emotion if they can. And if they can't change the cause of that emotion, they find a way to deal with that emotion effectively so it can move through them and not control them and not cause them to react in ways that are unproductive. But when people don't want to face everything and rise, which is another acronym for fear, when they want to run the other way from change and they want to feel that all that needs to happen is for us to go back to safety, go back to the life that our parents or grandparents had, go back. Well, the problem with going back is history is often written by the conquerors. And some of the less well-known stories are overlooked, overshadowed, minimized, discounted, even treated as if they didn't happen at all. So sometimes, especially if you're operating from fear, from panic, you're not seeing things clearly. There is a situation that happens, it's called euphoric recall. Euphoric recall. Euphoria is when we have intense happiness, intense feelings of happiness. So euphoric recall is what a lot of people commonly call looking through rose-colored glasses. See, memory is a interesting thing. probably most of us have seen a picture from the past. And when we look at the picture is a fact. It was taken at a certain time, and that picture is in our hands or in an album or in our phone. And unless someone doctored it, it is a fact. It is what we actually saw at that moment. But sometimes when we look at that picture, it's not what we remember in our minds, because our memory may be euphoric recall. We may be remembering things better than they were. You know, that's one reason why there's that saying that you can't step into the same river twice, because the river is always flowing. So even if you step into the same river, it's not the same river. In terms of the makeup of the river could have changed. And so when people look at the past, their memory of the past, their perception of the past can be filled with stereotypes and prejudices and misconceptions, and overlooking certain things and minimizing certain things. And they may be experiencing euphoric recall. They may be seeing only the good and not the reality. And they have an alternative. Going back or trying to go back is not really a possibility. Because like I just said, you can't step into the same river twice. Now, we can enjoy old movies and old TV shows and old books and old magazines and old paintings, and we can look at all those things, but we can't recreate in the present the past. You could have all the same people come to your house that came to your house last year, but the conversations would be different. The experiences would be different. Those people would look different. They would act different. There's been changes since that last moment that you saw them. Even if you're trying to recreate it, you can't. So we can't recreate the past. We can only move forward and face everything and rise. And that's what we need to do. And we need to stop letting fear influence us to go backwards or try to go backwards, because it won't work. May you walk in